your host, DarkwingDubb.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy DarkwingDubb, and I'm back with another one today. First off, I hope y'all like the new little caption over there, and little picture. I was digging that one, so I decided to use it today instead of the normal duck that's over there. But anyway, I don't feel like there's enough people that give NXT. Yes, this is NXT Vengeance Day review. I don't feel like there's a lot of people out there that really give NXT their just due, because truth be told, a lot of their shows have been better than the main roster shows. So I feel like they need all the attention they can get. So if I don't see a lot of people out there doing it, why not me? Why not I? I'll be that Huckleberry. I'll go ahead and go down that rabbit hole and give NXT their just due, because they've been killing it for a few years now. Shawn Michaels has been doing his thing for NXT. So let's see what we got going on here. This is NXT Vengeance Day review. Let's go. This is the match card right here. You know what I'm saying? We have in a street fight, Blake Monroe versus Jaida Parker. Miss Parker, yeah, Miss Parker, or Blake Monroe. Oh. Yeah. And then we also, after that, we had Tony D versus Dion Lennox. Not bad. And after that, we had a Jacy, Jayne, Soul, Ruca, and Zaria segment, followed by the NXT Women's North American Championship, Tatum Paxley versus Izzi Dame, followed by NXT Underground. NXT Underground, we had Lola Vice versus Kelani Jordan. And then to end the night, we ended it with Ricky Saints versus Joe Hendry for the men's NXT Championship. Let's go. Yeah. So we start out the show with Blake Monroe. Going one-on-one in a street fight with Jaida Parker. Miss Parker. So what we had a hard-hitting match here. We had tables, we had chairs, and we even had a mysterious bag that came from underneath the ring. These two women went at it. I want to say something real quick before I keep going. Shout out to Shawn Michaels. He's given, the women had more matches in this show than the men did. Shout out to Shawn. Triple H could take some notes, because I believe the last PLE, there was only one women's match, or two women's matches at the Elimination Chamber, if you count the chamber match. But anyways, neither here nor there. So we had a hard-hitting match. We had some tables. We went going through, what she do? The teardrop through the table. Ooh, brutal. But how did the match end? Blake Monroe had a mysterious bag. What was in the bag? A bag of diamonds. DDT'd right on the diamonds. Game over. Blake Monroe for the win. Absolutely. And you know what? That was a great way to start this show out. That was a sensational way to start the show out, because these two women went back and forth. You know, Jaida Parker definitely had her moments. Blake Monroe had her moments, but at the end of the day, it was Blake Monroe that came out on top. So I gave that match an A minus. An A minus. So that match was followed by this one. Ooh, Tony D'Angelo versus Dion Lennox. Let me tell you something. I like this new look, Tony D'Angelo. Get away from the mob boss thing and be a more serious, more serious, strong guy. Like he's neither heel, he's neither or face. So I think this works for him. And I definitely see him going up to the main roster and teaming up with somebody like a Seth Rollins. I think him and Seth Rollins would go great together. But anyway, Dion Lennox. If y'all remember what a year and a half or so ago, you know, he was on NXT reading books and wearing glasses, and it was him and Ashanti the Adonis going after Carmen Petrovich and all kinds of stuff. People wasn't taking him serious. And since he joined up with Dark State, he's like a totally different person. Totally different person. Somebody that people are going to take serious. So how do we get here though? It was Dark State that took Tony D'Angelo out by crushing his ankle. Tony D'Angelo has since come back and says that he has a two-part plan. Plan A, eliminate Dark State. Now, one thing we do know is that you're not going to eliminate Dark State, but he's doing his part to do so. He's taking out each and every one of them. So as this is getting started, a mysterious car pulls up. We thinking it's Tony D'Angelo. No, it was an imposter. Tony D'Angelo comes in swinging with the crowbar, hitting everybody with the crowbar. And then him and Dion just go at it from the parking lot through the warehouse, back to the parking lot, back to the warehouse, finally get into the ring where the bell rings. And it's just been hard hitting. To me, this was match of the night. This was match of the night. The back and forth, the hitting, the going through the way that Dion Lennox suplexed Tony D'Angelo through the announce table. Like, this was match of the night. Yes, it was. At the end, Tony finishes part one of his plan. He takes out the leader, Dion Lennox. So what's next? We don't know. But if I had my guess, he's probably going for the NXT Championship, which would be very interesting because of what we saw later on in the show. So this match ends with Tony D'Angelo getting the win. So with that being said, Tony D'Angelo finishes part one of his plan. We'll see what part two goes. I gave this match an A. Sorry about that. Had to take care of something real quick. But then after the Tony D'Angelo and Dion Lennox match, we had a segment with Jacy, Jayne, Soul Ruca, Zaria, and Robert Stone, where we get an announcement. I thought that they would save it for Stand and Deliver, but the announcement comes with 2 weeks from now, March 17th in Houston, Texas. We're getting a triple threat match. Soul Ruca, Jacy, Jayne, and Zaria. If I'm going to predict something now, it's going to be Soul Ruca getting that belt before she gets called up to the main roster. Let her hold the belt for a little bit. She gets called up to the main roster, and I say have Zaria take it off her. But after that, we get the NXT Women's North American Championship. Tatum Paxley versus Izzi Dame, with Izzi Dame holding the belt right now. So I was really into this story they had going on with Tatum Paxley and Izzi Dame. You know, she teams up with Izzi and they start running things, and then she takes the NXT Women's Championship off of Jacy Jayne. That's Tatum Paxley, it is. You can see that Izzi is a little jealous of it. So she ultimately gives Jacy Jayne her rematch, and Izzi Dame gets involved, and also the rest of the culling gets involved. Loses her NXT Women's Championship because of it, which sets off the story arc of her trying to get her get back. We know they had a match a few NXT shows ago, and where Izzi got the win, and now we're here. So the crowd favorite is clearly Tatum Paxley, and rightfully so. Izzi Dame, she's all right. She's all right. She's tall. We know she was a volleyball player. She's all right though. I thought that the culling was going to turn on her and go with Tatum Paxley, but I was wrong. The end of the match was Tatum Paxley is hit Sean Spears, didn't bother him. Izzi Dame comes and was going after Tatum Paxley. She misses and hits Sean Spears, and we get she uses her finishing move, gets the win. New Women's NXT North American Championship. Rightfully so. She should have been the one to take it off of Izzi Dame because of the story. Will the story continue? We'll see on NXT on Tuesday. But I gave this match a B. I thought it was kind of slow, but the right person won. The right person most definitely won. Next after that was Lola Vice versus Kelani Jordan. Lola Vice versus Kelani Jordan for it was the NXT Underground match. NXT Underground match. And we all know that Lola Vice stars in these underground matches. So I had no reason to believe that she wasn't going to win, right? It was a good back and forth match. Some MMA definitely being used. Kelani's using her athleticism throughout the entire match. It ends with that spinning back fist. Lord have mercy, knocked her out cold, and then got on top of her, dropped a couple hammer fists. Ref stops it. Stop. KO for the win. I gave this match a B+. It was some hard hitting. It was some MMA shown in there. It was a good match. I really appreciated this match. It's something that I feel like something that should only be kind of like Hell in a Cell and stuff like that. Something that a match like this for NXT should only be pulled out to finish stories. So where does Kelani Jordan go? There's rumors that she could be going to the main roster next. What about Lola Vice? You know what I'm saying? Does she get involved in the women's North American Championship, or does she move up and get involved in the women's NXT Championship? You know what I'm saying? Or do they go over to TNA? I know Kelani Jordan used to be, knockout champion. Does she try to get that back? So we'll see. And after that, the last match of the night. Ricky Saints versus Joe Hendry in the NXT Championship match. I wasn't a big fan of this. I don't think it really got to show who Ricky Saints is. I don't think it really got to show Joe Hendry either. Will Joe Hendry work as the NXT champion? I don't know. Maybe we're just spoiled because we had Trick Williams and we had Oba Femi. I like Ricky Saints as a heel. I do. But this match just didn't click for me. It really didn't. I lost interest in the match. I really did. And then when Ethan Page came out, I was like, ooh, okay, now we're getting somewhere. Only for him to just pick the title up and look at it. I thought it was going to be more. You know, he said, right before the match or whatever, he said, 2-time at something. So I thought he would go after, he would keep Ricky from winning this match and carve his own path to stand and deliver against Joe Hendry. I like Ethan Page. If y'all listen to the Ring Ropes and Turnbuckle podcast, I am a huge Ethan Page fan. So I would love to see him get his hands back on that NXT title before he gets called up to the main roster, where I think that he would hold his own up there. If he keeps this heel arc going, I think it works very well on the main roster. It really does. This match was slow. It was boring. These two, we know they're great in-ring workers, but it's just something about this match in particular. It just didn't. And then when the match ended, I thought maybe Ethan Page would get involved and, go shoot his shot at Joe Hendry after the match. Typical WWE fashion. Match is over. You get the heel, go in there and beat up the babyface. They didn't get that. I also thought, because it took them forever. It took them forever to go off. So I'm like, something's going to happen. Maybe Tony D'Angelo. He has a 2-part plan. So I thought maybe, just maybe, Tony D'Angelo is getting involved. Got nothing. We just kept on getting Joe Hendry turning, appearing. So I don't know where they're going to go with for the NXT Men's Championship. I tell you what, though, I don't want to see Ricky Saints versus Joe Hendry again. I'd rather see either Ethan Page or Tony D'Angelo. Personally, for selfish reasons, I want Ethan Page. I think with him being the longest reigning men's NXT North American champion, his next spot is the NXT Championship before he goes on up to the Raw or SmackDown. So, with that being said, I gave this match a C. That's just me being nice. I was going to give it a D+ because I just didn't think the match was any good. But I'm being nice, and I gave it an average grade, which is a C. Which in all the grades put together, gives it a B+. Not bad to start the year off. Not bad. Well, they had New Year's Evil. So this is their second pay-per-view. Not bad for their second pay-per-view. I can tell you what, New Year's Evil and Vengeance Day was probably better than the Royal Rumble and the Elimination Chamber. I'm excited to see where they go for Stand and Deliver, which will be their next pay-per-view. It was announced that they're going to be doing Stand and Deliver in St. Louis, which is not typical for them because typically they do the Stand and Deliver, which is NXT version of WrestleMania, in the same city as WrestleMania. They'll do WrestleMania in the morning, and then they'll do night one of WrestleMania, or they do Stand and Deliver in the morning, then they'll do night one of WrestleMania that night. So I don't know. I think it's weird that they mixed it up, but it is what it is. I think Stand and Deliver, there's been, I think the past few years, Stand and Deliver has been on par with WrestleMania, going all the way back to the Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano days down in NXT. Those Stand and Delivers, they have delivered. They have gone hand in hand with WrestleMania. So maybe that's why they decided to take them out of the same city, because NXT has been outperforming in the past couple of years. I mean, because once they got out of the whole Bloodline story arc, it was like, where do you go, right? But NXT has been holding their own. This is why I'm a huge fan of NXT. But I am going to be that person to give NXT their just due. These young up-and-coming wrestlers, they deserve all the credit. A lot of them are coming into something that they have no clue what to do. So I'm going to give each and every one of them a shout-out. I'll be reviewing NXT's pay-per-views. From here on out, I'm doing NXT pay-per-views. So the next NXT review I do will be Stand and Deliver. But it's been a pleasure doing this. I hope you guys like the new little picture I got right there. I'll be going back and forth between the two, depending on how I feel. But anyway, until next time, your boy DarkwingDubb is outro.